Yes, a very good morning and a happy new year to everyone. For me, your host, Alicia Jali. Welcome to yet another exciting edition of your favorite program, Media Monitor, the program where we give in-depth analysis of the day news, as well as the events that got the country and the region talking. Our topics for this morning, the transformation in the newsroom. I had a really great interview with a couple of editors as well as some journalism students. So you do want to stay here and find out more about that. We also have the bogus colleges. We will be talking in depth about what the Department of Higher Education is actually doing to try and curb the scourge of these fake or bogus FET colleges. We're also going to talk about saving tips for 2015, and of course, Colin Lemane, SABC business news presenter and producer, will be here to give us his insight on what he thinks that you should do to try and spend wisely. And of course, our guest this morning, we have Department of Higher Education spokesperson Kai Nkwanyana, as well as Colin Lemane, SABC business news presenter and producer. Do share your views on Twitter at SA Media Monitor, as well as on Facebook, Media Monitor, including our email address, mediamonitor@sabc.co.za. A very good morning to you. Now, the media industry has made significant gains over the years, but the issue of transformation in the newsroom still remains a serious concern. Now, I had an opportunity to engage some editors at the Manel Media Exchange program on this issue. Let's take a look at this insert.
I don't quite like the old and new newsroom terminology, by the way. Life evolves, professions evolve, sectors evolve, and this is an evolution. In 10 years' time, we'll still be talking about the new newsroom because there will have been another development at the time which forces us to respond to that. That is why in my initial opening remarks earlier on, I said we just need to understand where the lives of our readers are going, what is important to them, what channels they use, what channels they prefer, and try and cater to those needs and evolve with it. And that becomes the nature of the newsroom on an ongoing basis rather than being tied down to traditional ways of doing things.
It's very hard to keep that production line going of producing really good reporters and journalists. Adrian Basson talked about the challenges of a newspaper in the modern world, and now we're seeing things like the effect of digital, Twitter, TV, the built is moving into TV. This whole convergence is happening, which demands a very new set of skills that from journalists, which before was never required of them. So the dynamics of the newsroom are changing, the skills that are required are changing, and it's just a constant state of flux and being able to adapt to those changes and be able to react to them quite quickly. So the traditional newsroom of years gone by where, if you were in print, you were in print for the next 10, 15 years and that's all you needed to worry about. Now you're constantly looking out for the next big thing, you're looking out for how digital is going to impact your business.
There's some areas of media law that over the last few years, in light of the Constitution, have developed in ways that are very favorable towards the media, and I think particularly here of defamation law, where a defense, for instance, of reasonable journalism has developed, which wasn't there before. On the other hand, there are aspects of media law that are still restrictive of what journalists can write. There are some statutes that would restrict them from, for example, identifying accused in certain criminal cases. And of course, there are threats such as the so-called secrecy bill.
Well, I also engaged journalism students on the impact of social media in delivering news.
It would be a problem for the magazine and the print industry, because not many people read magazines and newspapers anymore. We all want to get updated now. It happens now. You want to know about it now. So for journalists, it's getting very hard because as a daily paper, people get their news before, they get it today, and you're printing out tomorrow. By tomorrow, it's Sunday news already. It's old news. We know more than you know because there's Twitter, there's Facebook, so you get people that were there, like eyewitnesses, people that were there updating about these things as they happen. So as a journalist, by the time you get there, it's already over. Like, you just have to find another angle to report the story from.
Newspapers are also dying. People are no longer buying newspapers. And we always wake up and go to Twitter or go to Facebook for our news in the morning. But now the problem is people have attention spans of laborers. They want it quick, they want it now, so they want it short. But with journalists, I think what they should do is stick to accuracy, give people accurate news, give people in-depth news, and use the links that are online so that people can click on the link and read the full story. But as a journalist as well, online, you have to always bear in mind that people associate you with your news agency.
Absolutely.
So when you have a bio like tweets or views are my own, it doesn't work. We associate you with the agency. So all the time, keep integrity and speak your truth.
We're often asked, like, is internet breaking news or breaking our newsrooms? And I think it is true. Our newsrooms are slowly getting smaller. The income is decreasing. I mean, people, even though we still make more money from print media and traditional media, there's more people who are seeking for news, seeking to know from the internet, because it is convenient after all. I mean, it is cheap. I just use my BIS or use my data bundle to go on the news.
You don't buy the newspaper.
I don't buy the newspaper, but there's still the old people who seek traditional media, who don't believe everything they see on TV or don't believe everything they hear on the radio. They want their Sunday newspaper to say, yes, this is true, yes, this is it. It happened during the week and we're presenting it to you in this manner. And to them, that is what is factual. I mean, there's always that old person or that old uncle who always wants the news presented in that traditional way.
Very interesting indeed, and the views coming through from the Manal Institute. Of course, that was a media program dedicated to media practitioners to find out and talk and discuss everything that happens in today's newsroom. Those were some of the views from the students. We're going to take a quick ad break, and when we return, we're going to speak to education spokesperson on educational matters.
Guinea is reopening an Ebola clinic in its remote southeast in an effort to prevent sick nationals seeking better treatment elsewhere.
The new labor law also seeks to clamp down on violent strikes by holding a trade union liable for violence committed by its members during a strike.
The new canal is set to boost annual revenues to about $13 billion by 2023. It's part of a larger project to expand port and shipping facilities around the canal.
This is Vigigas's fourth victory on the PGA Tour.
That's all the weather that I have for you for now. Stay tuned.
For all your business news, catch news at 1 every day. Be informed.
Zoom into Africa. This is Sierra Leone. The president is Mr. Ernest Bai Koroma. Sierra Leone got independent from the United Kingdom on 27 April in 1961. The population is more than 6 million people. One of the major languages spoken is English. Monetary unit is Leone.
Coming to you live from our Auckland Park studios in Johannesburg, South Africa. Welcome to AM News on SABC News. We're on DSTV channel 404. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We'll be taking you through all the developing stories, all the leading stories in South Africa, in the continent of Africa and the rest of the world. The power utility has attributed the current wave of load shedding to what it has described as unforeseen technical problems at current power stations. Eskom has warned that there is a risk of a total blackout if consumers do not use electricity sparingly.
We must work together to make this world better for all. This is what Nelson Mandela told us. He taught us a very important lesson.
That's AM News, daily at 10 a.m. on SABC News.
Eskom could miss a deadline for a crucial step towards turning on the Medupi power station. But the power utility says it will probably meet the December the 24th deadline.
We're looking good. We've come through 3 days, obviously, of load shedding, which has unfortunately been necessary, but it's been useful to have built up our reserves for the coming week.
Shares of private hospital group Netcare jumped up today and closed on a high after the company reported increased annual profits.
The hospital group is also taking steps to aggressively reduce its dependence on Eskom due to increasing power outages and rising costs.
We'll be reducing our energy needs by some 35% over the next 10 years, and our cumulative savings of our forecast electricity bill will be in the region of R1 billion. So we're doing something very constructive about the challenges we're facing at the moment.
That's Business News, weekdays at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. This is Media Monitor. Now, private colleges have become an alternative choice for school leavers who are unable to secure placement at your universities. School leavers need to be aware of bogus colleges when applying to institutions of higher learning to pursue their studies. Now, for the education segment, we'd like to welcome Mr. Kai Nkwanyana. He's the spokesperson for the Department of Higher Education. Sir, a very good morning and thank you so much for joining us on Media Monitor. Happy New Year to you.
Thank you very much, Alicia. Yeah, thank you.
Kaya, what is your department doing to curb this bad practice, especially at this time of the year?
Well, we have stepped up a campaign as a department to actually clamp down on this mushrooming of private colleges. And we are quite worried that the number is increasing even much more. We've taken a decision that we are going to confront this head on. I must say that we've just opened cases for about 40 private colleges that are operating throughout the country quite illegally. And we have a number of students who are there with the hope that when they graduate, they are going to, these are genuine qualifications. But I can tell you that upon completion is when they realize, when the employers are checking with us through our authority, South African Qualifications Authority, that quite indeed they've been on bogus colleges paying a lot of money. And we're quite worried in the beginning of the year because they advertise themselves almost everywhere so that they attract young people to come and enroll. So we think that because we've agreed with the SAPS, there's a specialized unit that is working with us, detectives, where we find them, we go and close them down and we open fraud charges. I must say that the prevalence is much more in Gauteng.
I was actually just about to ask, just how prevalent and where are these bogus colleges?
Much more there in Gauteng. We just recently closed down one of the biggest one in Bramfontein with a huge number. We established that it belongs to one foreign national who has been operating this particular school. So it's one thing that we want to make a strong call to South Africans that before they enroll to any of the private institutions, they must check with us immediately. We can tell you on the spot that that particular college is or is not a registered college. But there's a second dimension in this. You have some colleges that are registered to offer certain programs. But because we give them a license to offer those particular courses, they therefore, without getting a permission and accreditation with us, and pursue other programs that are not permitted to do. And you'll find that we've granted a permission or a license that you offer programs, say for instance, your BCom, and other management courses. You'll find that that college has gone to an extent of offering programs, say in engineering and so on and so forth, yet they don't have a permission and a license to do that. Now, if you do that, it means that technically that student who qualify on those programs possesses a fake qualification. And we are also making that call that young people, as they enroll, they must also check that this particular college is indeed accredited to offer what it is claiming to offer as it advertises itself. So, but we think that we're going to win this battle because we've stepped up a campaign. We have a specialized unit in the department on a daily basis that deals with this. But we'll want South Africans to help us because in small towns, sometimes we might not be aware that there's a particular college in this corner that has just opened. People must check. We'll immediately go there and close it down and open cases.
Kaya, tell us more about what the department would like, sort of campaigns that you're embarking on to try and raise the level of awareness about these bogus colleges, especially at this time.
We have met with various representatives of us in all provinces. We are doing a lot of media campaign now, which next year, and in fact the rest of this year, we are going to see much more of that particular exercise in us going in public. We are going to make a lot of awareness through the media, but also engaging our people in various, especially in big cities, to say that this is a particular thing that they must look into. We are going to issue a lot of statements, a lot of radio talks so that we alert people, especially using the commercial media, so that indeed we convey the message quite strongly. We have even spoken to leaders of universities, various universities, that to say that how can we work together, our public universities, so that we convey the message down on the ground to our, especially to young people.
Kaya, let's talk about how do these FET colleges benefit. Let's look at the brighter side. How are they supposed to benefit the majority of the school leavers that actually don't have access to the universities?
Well, this is a big business, these colleges. For them, they are less interested about the fact that they have to produce more qualified people who can be ready for the economy. For them, it's a money spin. They advertise themselves in such a way that they tell you that you are guaranteed to pass, irrespective. So if you come to us, compared to the public institution, you are guaranteed to pass so that you can also invite others. For them, it's about...
It's a marketing tool.
Yes, it's about the bottom line. And at the end of the day, you realize that what you got is not recognized. You can't go anywhere. So it's one painful aspect about it. But I must say that it's one area that concerns us because in South Africa, public institutions, the level of credibility of our public universities are international standards compared to this private college. If I were to encourage people, your public institutions are more better placed and more recognized international than these private colleges.
Why
so we will direct young people much more to go to our public institutions, our colleges and our universities more than this private.
But then, Kai, what strategic plans do you have for the year ahead concerning FET colleges, like late registrations and so forth?
Well, first I must say that we have dealt with that issue. The first aspect is that we are going to see much more of that because we had a problem of the post office strike. Many students who applied, the application got stuck with the post office. We are speaking in thousands of applications. We have met with the vice chancellors through HISA. We have agreed that as a department, we are going to drive a process through the vice chancellors that all institutions must consider late applications this particular year. Secondly is that there are many students who don't apply, but they wait for the result. The moment they're out, they rush to university, which is too late. So we've established a unit in the department we call Central Application, we call it CATCH, Central Application Clearing House. What we do, that particular unit, we encourage potential students to liaise with us so that we place them in all our 26 universities in this country and our 50 colleges. So we are engaging through that particular unit. All what the young person need to do is to SMS us I would just say the SMS number is 49200.
Okay.
They put their ID number and they SMS it to 49200. Immediately we'll link with them and place them to their institutions of choice.
Wow.
We have even toll-free number that I can also...
Are these now just matriculants, Kaye, or just everybody who wants to go to an FET college?
That's everybody who qualifies now to go to institutions of higher learning, be it in your TVET college or in universities. So we place them throughout the country so that we address that backlog. Because we want to clear the queues that you always have so that we minimize that as quick as possible. So we will be engaging much more on that particular exercise to ensure that the young people are placed in different institutions.
That's very interesting. And when is this going to start? Is it in effect as we speak?
It is in effect as we speak. We started this year. Actually, we started last year. The volume was lower because we were just starting. But we think that this year, because we have issued also statements, we have come out in public to announce, we think that numbers might increase of young people using that particular facility. And we'll encourage young people that indeed they utilize that particular unit in our department.
Definitely. It sounds like an interesting solution. So the department was listening to the parents' pleas, of course, that, you know, the late registration is because literally people are waiting for results, Kai. And then when you say late, like how late will these people that will be able to still send an SMS to the department be?
Well, immediately, in fact, we are in that exercise now. So long as our institutions are still on the registration process, we encourage that the young people utilize this service. We will place them throughout the country. So long as the institution is saying we still have spaces, we will place them in all our institutions.
So they won't need to go and queue in long lines, Kai?
Quite indeed, we encourage that the young people actually avoid that. But well, those who think that they can go to the nearest institution, we are not stopping them. But those who can utilize the service, we will, so that we place them as quick as possible.
Oh, sounds very interesting indeed. Let's see what our people are saying at home there in regards to this new development, Kai. Let's take a look at those tweets there. Bill Rogers says, I support the clamping down on colleges which don't teach the correct spelling and grammar. Jail the perpetrators. Thank you so much, Bill there. Russ says, just indicate the registered ones in your web portal for the public to refer before enrolling. There's Kai shaking his head there in agreement with me. And of course, Don't Drink and Drive says, yes, not forgetting NSFAS issues that students face every year. All right, thank you very much on that. We're going to delve a little bit more with Ukai, who's here with us. Let's take one more. Nogutula Lekuleni says, parents and learners must first verify by calling the department to find out if a college is registered or not. And she even gives the numbers there, 086 035 6635. Is that the right number, Kai?
Yes,
so people can literally call that number and verify if their college, the FET college, is actually legal. All right, we're going to take a very quick ad break. And after that, we continue with Mr. Kai Nkwanyane, higher education spokesperson. You don't want to miss this. Stay with us. This is Media Monitor.
Mother in Hector Spruit in Mpumalanga has made an impassioned plea for her two grandchildren.
13-year-old Tulani Dlamini and 21-year-old Hlonipile Vilani were taken
away by a stranger who allegedly promised them better education in England. But the two recently called their grandmother. They told her they're in Malawi.
It's 100 years since the start of the Great War, and today 14 South African World War I heroes, all recipients of the Victoria Cross, were honoured.
The Ring of Memory carries the names of 600,000 soldiers who died in the region.
Primetime News, daily at 6 p.m. on SABC News.
The session musicians, you want a particular sound on your record. Who do you get? Abo Butemp,
abo Victor Masondo, abo Godfrey Mqina. So these are the people who play a very, very vital role in making us.
The South African Horror Fest is the only inclusive event of its kind over Halloween season. It screens a host of exciting horror or thriller movies from around the world.
Shishani achieved stardom when she won a live music competition in Namibia titled Last Band Standing in 2012.
Join Musam Khalipi on Afro Showbiz every Saturday at 19:30 CAT.
Inspire others to say no to drugs. Drugs can cause cancer and destroy your life.
You can lose everything. You can lose your friends. You will never be the same again. Drugs can kill you.
Alcohol can rob you of your future.
You can lose all your money.
They can make you infertile.
You will lose your self-respect.
Alcohol can hurt those around you. Give yourself the best chance in life.
Drugs can destroy your health.
Drugs can make you lose your job.
Let's stand up against alcohol abuse.
Drugs can destroy every part of your life.
Look out for each other. Let's stand up against drugs.
Welcome back to Media Monitor, the very first show for this year. A very, very happy new year. With me is, of course, the spokesperson for the Higher Education Department, Mr. Kaye Ngwanyane. Kaye, let's talk about the interesting things now this year. We've just spoken about the FET colleges. Let's talk about the interesting things that the Department of Higher Education is going to embark on the year of 2015. Are books going to be delivered on time? Let's delve into it.
Yes, books will be delivered on time. Yeah. Well, part of the things that we are engaging on as a department, we are encouraging much more young people to utilize, to actually go to the space of TVET colleges. We have just entered a situation where we encourage much more of our business to work with colleges in terms of developing the skills. We have engaged with our own sitters that they even open offices in all our 50 colleges so that when young people finish their studying in colleges, they are immediately placed on learnerships that are linked with the industry. The industry immediately after that period of experiential workplace, they are therefore placed for jobs, because we're having a challenge in this country that most of your technical jobs, your economy-related skills, we have a shortage, and our colleges come as a stopgap in terms of addressing those skills. Mm-hmm. So you'll see us much more encouraging young people that they consider colleges as a real options now of study. Mm-hmm. So that they develop relevant skills for our economy. We have just this year opened a new university, Sefako Mahato University, that will focus on health sciences. Mm-hmm. When we de-linked Medusa from University of Limpopo, we built a new university, which makes the country to have 26 universities now. So it means from 2009 up to this year, we've built 3 new universities. You have your Sol Plaatje University, which is in Northern Cape. You have your Mpumalanga University in Mpumalanga. And now we are having Sefako Mahato in Johannesburg. Now, this one will focus on all health sciences careers. So we are going to focus more on developing the capacity of that university so that it becomes one of the big universities in this country, so that everyone who wants to do courses that are health-related, all of them, from medicine, your radiographer, your pharmacy, all of those particular courses are going to be offered in this particular university. So that will be one of our focus. The third one...
Before you move on there, Kaya, I just want to get this before I forget, but what are you going to do as a department to encourage the girl learners to take part in those science and technology studies?
Well, we quite encourage women because actually you still have challenges in terms of the ratio for women in the health profession. We quite encourage women, your girl child, as we are saying, that they take those optional courses because our country needs them.
But where does this begin? Does it begin at high school level, or the department just waits for them to pass matric and then start saying, well, look, you go to the Salt Lake University and go study engineering? How does it happen?
We have just opened a unit in the department a couple of months ago. We call it Career Development Services. Okay. We've just employed more than 50 staff who are career advisors. The task is for them to go to schools all over the country in all the regions, and they are open to invitation even by ordinary South African community to now teach and able to guide young people on many careers that we have in this country. Because the challenge that we're having is that many young people complete their matric without knowing what actually they want to do.
True.
And they go and queue in universities. Some of them, they get advice on the gate that, no, maybe you can try this, you can try that. Then they realize the following year that they took a wrong career. Now we're going to start at school through this career development. So we call it's a career development service. Okay. They are going to go throughout the country. It's going to be permanent, a permanent feature in our department. They've started to do a lot of work. We have a contract even with the SABC to actually use that space to also educate young people so that we reach villages, we reach everywhere. So part of that exactly is to encourage even your girl child to have all these options to say at grade 10, a young person should be able to say, I'm studying towards this. So that they focus on those particular subjects that will allow them to pursue those courses when they finish matric.
I'm very interested in this deal that you have with the SABC. Do tell us how it's going to pan out.
Well, on a weekly basis, through your education unit, we are having these lots in all SABC radio stations on different languages so that we communicate directly with people with their vernac in different regions of the country. So you'll see much more of that happening this year. To some extent, we'll also use even, we'll secure even the minister, the deputy minister, to come and speak to young people to say, these are the courses that the country needs. If young people focus on these areas, our economy needs, these are the skills in the country. We've just published 100 national skills as a country where to guide young people to say, if you take these options, career-wise, if you study for you are guaranteed that immediately you will be absorbed in the labor market because we have a shortage of the industry have submitted to us that we need these skills. They're in shortage. People are aging in these various career choices. So we want to direct young people to predicate much more on those areas that are in short in our economy.
I wish I could go back to school now, Kaya, since things are getting so much easier. But let's now talk about the big elephant in the room, NSFAS, and the problems that are still inherent within. What's going on there?
Well, we just had a meeting with our NSFAS team a week, 2 weeks ago. We agreed that we need to reverse what has characterized some challenges, even to an extent that we had a lot of strikes in universities. One, we have agreed that the officials of NSFAS are going to be deployed in all our universities so that they process application on the spot. As students are queuing for registration, immediately they must sign this application, and our turnaround time is going to improve this time. We're not going to wait for a month to tell you whether we accept you or we decline you. within 48 hours, we should be able to respond with an SMS to a student.
What about those students that have sent in the SMS? Do they also get review for NSFAS? What happens in their case? What if they're also interested but are not queuing, as you're saying, in universities and get approached by these agents?
Yes, immediately when the university accept a student through this process of SMS, the catch program, we immediately direct you that this university has accepted you. Go immediately, you register. As you register, they give you an NSFAS form immediately on the spot. They go hand in hand. Okay. So you complete your application. If it's Wits University, it's Wits University. Immediately you get an NSFAS form, application form. And you will have an official there from NSFAS immediately processing your application and sending to the panel that deal with the criteria issue. And immediately you get a feedback. So we think that we are going to minimize any backlogs that have been causing problems in terms of that. The second issue with NSFAS is that we think that part of the thing that has been causing a problem, there are students who have been accessing NSFAS wrongly, who are not supposed to. And we suspect that there's been a collusion somewhere. For instance, last year, 2014, we disbursed about 9 billion. You can't reconcile with the fact that that 9 billion could not reach the totality of the genuine applicants. So we're starting a forensic investigation so that we deal with some element. We suspect there could be some fraudulent activities that are happening, so that the money is meant for the poor young people who are deserving, but really they are coming from poor families. Not those who are affording, but they will decide to put on the pocket the money they get at home so that they access NSFAS. It's for those who are poor, genuinely need for it. So we think that by intervening in that way, we are going to minimize any potential corruption or existing corruption.
Thank you so much, Kai, which has been the delay, of course, in terms of delivering, in terms of NSFAS. While that is, of course, higher education spokesperson, Mr. Kai Ngwanyana, talking to us about everything you can think about and everything you can expect this year in terms of the education department. Of course, matric results are coming out soon. And if you want to find out where and when you can get your matric results, the numbers are there. You can dial those numbers, of course, and check in with your results. We're going to take a very quick ad break. We'll be back with more Media Monitor. Stay with us.
Warm welcome to AM News on SABC News Channel 404. Pistorius was sentenced to 5 years in prison for killing his girlfriend Riva Steenkamp on Valentine's Day last year. He was not found guilty of murder but of culpable homicide. The state feels that they are entitled to request that certain questions around the judgment and sentence should be reserved for the Supreme Court of Appeal. State Advocate Gerrie Nel called the sentence shockingly inappropriate. If the appeal is successful, Pistorius would face a minimum of 15 years in prison. Corky was killed during a dramatic botched rescue operation by American Special Forces in Yemen on Saturday. Corky's wife, Yolandi, says the family has chosen to forgive and rejoice in the memories of her husband.
At 5:59 on Saturday morning, I told Yolandi, the waiting is almost over. You give it that kind of optimism, and 2 hours later you get a call to say he's not anymore. It's devastating. I'm very sad for her, but she's a very strong woman.
That's AM News, daily at 10 a.m. on SABC News.
Who are we, you ask?
This is who we are.
We are technologically driven.
We are unashamedly Afrocentric.
We advise you not only on legal matters,
but on health issues as well.
We bring imagination to life.
We celebrate arts and culture and lifestyle.
We tackle life challenges head on.
We dig deep. We probe. We question.
We invite you to take a view from our house.
As we tell it without fear, separating fiction from factual.
We are the SABC News Channel.
All news, all global, all the time.
Welcome back. Well, it's time to start thinking about all new ways you can save money in 2015. Nothing starts a new year out better than extra money in the wallet. And to help us discuss this now, we welcome SABC Business News presenter and producer to assist us in becoming savers for this year, Mr. Colin Lemane. A very good morning to you. Thank you for joining us on Media Monitor, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Colin, do you think that South Africans have something called a saving culture?
South Africans do, generally speaking, but other people want to save, but they don't. So it's easier said than done to do a savings plan for any individual who has money. So I always talk about people treating themselves as an institution or a company, where you look at how much you earn, treating that as a cash flow. So the amount that you have, you need to also look at what you need to prioritize. So people treat their money as something that when it comes, they get excited. And then due to their excitement, they splurge, they become extravagant. And after that, they want to go back to take care of the basics. So it is important to get your priorities right. A savings culture will be determined by how much do you earn? What do you go through when you are working for that salary? When it comes, what are the basic needs? You need to take care of your rent. You need to take care of your transport. You need to also take care of your debts in terms of servicing them, making sure that you maintain a good credit record. And then after that, you need to make sure that you pay your clothing accounts. And you make sure that your water and lights are taken care of. And then after that, you can look at other amenities such as the money you're going to need for petrol. Other people don't ensure that when they have a car, they need to plan for servicing it. The petrol that you need to have a car, you cannot run on an empty tank all the time with the red light on, saying that you need to go to the filling station, not having enough money, saying that you are waiting for month end. So the culture of saving needs to be done practically. So we need to adopt what we call personal finance strategy, where you manage your personal finances through a strategy. If you don't have a strategy in place, if you don't have a savings plan in place, then you are going to be broke all the time.
That's very hard-hitting there, Colin. Now, but let's talk about this. How can South Africans then budget if they don't have the money to have a banker or a business-minded man like you?
You need to ask questions when you are not doing well in terms of your finances. Because I used to think that it's only people who are low-income earners who need financial advice. Middle-income earners and high-income earners do also need financial advice. I'll give you an example. I know of certain individuals who earn more than 50,000 rands per month. But you'll find somebody having an overdraft of 35,000 rand. So you ask yourself, what is this person doing with his money? If he's paying for his bond, paying for his car, and he perhaps drives a Gazla, a 5-liter engine car. So you ask yourself, after taking care of all his basics, what do they do with their money? They don't budget. So what do you do when you have 30,000 rand in your account and it's a Friday? They go out to party. Do they budget for that kind of expenditure? No. Once they get inebriated, they start spending money, trying to impress friends, and tomorrow they are the ones who are left with a receipt, or what we call this invoice, of about 10,000 rand on alcohol. But do you think it's a normal lifestyle? It isn't. The guilty conscience should hit you if you start doing that with your income. So people need to budget in terms of prioritizing themselves. So the strategic personal finance management is very, very important. If you don't have that kind of a strategy, it's going to get you into trouble in terms of more debt. People do what we call retail therapy. When they are frustrated, when they are depressed, they go shopping. They buy things that they don't need, but the things that they want. They want to have this and that. They buy designer clothes. They attend functions. They go to occasions, and they don't budget for that. So it is important for, if you want to have fun, if you want to spoil yourself, you know, for example, that next year there's a Durban July. You need to start budgeting for that now. To say, I'm going to need a designer number. I want a dress or I want a suit. You're going to have to budget for flights. You have to budget for accommodation. You budget for food. Because when you go to a restaurant, it doesn't cost you as much as it costs you to eat at home. When you go to a restaurant and you're having a meal alone or you have a date, you're going to spend more than 600 rand just for a meal. And you're going to have a starter, main course, and drinks, and other people want to impress. Like if I take Alicia out and we go to a restaurant, I'll be having the money, you'll be the lady that's being spoiled. But you're going to ask for cognac, and it costs much. So will I have budgeted for the date? No, I don't. I just get hit by the bill and I pay, but it is beyond my budget. So a fake lifestyle has to be obliterated. This is the advice that I can give to people. If you are living a fake lifestyle, spending more than what you can, it is going to kill you in the end.
Very personal views about this culture of impressing friends, Colin. But now let's talk about what saving tips you can give to majority South Africans and Africans out there.
You need to ask yourself, what is it that you can achieve short-term and long-term? When you have a saving tip for a project that you are working on. Let's say, for example, you are a lady and you are a single parent. You need something that you can do with your money. Say you want to buy a washing machine this year. Do you need it today or you're going to need it in the short term? So you look at, say, on average, a washing machine, which you need because you have to do your own laundry, you cannot afford a nanny and all that. You can budget for a washing machine and say, I'm going to have a washing machine in 6 months' time. So I can put money away and buy it cash. Because if I buy it on account, there are higher purchases that are going to cost me a lot to pay their account for more than 12 months or 24 months to buy an item that costs 6,000 rand. So you need to do short-term budgeting for your short-term project. And if you have a long-term project, say you want to buy a car, the advice that I can give you is, say, for example, in 2015, you're planning to buy a car. Practice how to pay a car installment and insurance and affording the petrol, affording the toll gates, and look at how much it's going to cost you to have a car. Because it's not easy. It looks good when you're driving around, but can you afford to have a car? If you hit a pothole now, are you going to afford to buy a tire to replace that one? If you hit say, for example, a stone hits your windscreen, are you going to afford to pay the excess on your insurance? So people don't look at those other risks that they have. So you need to always have a contingency plan in terms of what you have, what you want to do, and what you want to achieve, and if you can be able to maintain that. So look at all the aspects comprehensively, not narrow-mindedly, but broadly.
Thank you very much. That's our SABC business producer and presenter, Mr. Colin Lemane, giving us a no-nonsense view about saving and spending this year. Let's take a look at some of the tweets, Colin, that our viewers have sent us today. Moshibudi Mabote says, save as little as possible per month and continue paying for my education, so to also pay for my son's education and future. Very, very wise consumer out there. Mohlako Mokabuki says, save more and spend less. Stop impressing people. It's not going to help. And Estimo says, what? Of course, I'll close all my accounts. I think that's a viable option there, Colin.
Yeah, it is important to actually pay off all your accounts and make sure that when you still have a balance and you have more credit, do not get tempted by the credit that's given by the store. Say you still owe 2,000 rand on your clothing account and they give you 5,000 rand more and you go buy clothes worth 5,000 rand. It doesn't make sense. What do you need those clothes for?
Colin, I feel sorry for your kids. Such an economist. Thank you so much for those views. Well, our viewers' contributions and suggestions are highly valued. Remember, you can follow us on Twitter at SA Media Monitor. Do share your views and comments on Facebook. Go to www.facebook.com/Media Monitor and like our page. Email us your thoughts about the show at mediamonitor@sabc.co.za. Thank you so much for watching Media Monitor. Do join us again next week. And just in case you missed a live show, remember you can still catch the repeat tomorrow morning at 2 a.m. or alternatively, go to our SABC YouTube link on www.youtube.com/SABC News. This is Media Monitor. Have yourself a blessed Sunday. Goodbye.